So as I say, Madam Speaker, ideally this would be a government bill. This would be a government bill because the government can do so much more than can a private member. For instance, a government member, for instance, a private member cannot propose the spending of taxpayers' money. Only the government can propose, upon parliamentary approval, the spending of taxpayers' money. So the limitation of every private member's bill that's presented here is called a royal recommendation. We cannot, in a private member's bill, present a bill which would require the government to spend money. The problem in this case, Madam Speaker, is ideally the responsibilities for the implementation of this bill would be reposited in an ombudsman or an ombudsperson. And unfortunately, however, if you do draft your bill so that the responsibilities are deposited with the ombudsman, you will trigger a royal recommendation, and so you will not. The bill will be ruled out of order. So, unfortunately, Madam Speaker, we've had to draft around the issue of a royal recommendation. So the responsibility in this bill, Madam Speaker, is reposited in the Minister of Foreign Affairs and the Minister of International Trade. In a lot of other respects, Madam Speaker, the bill looks a lot like the recommendations as contained in the Round Table's recommendations. The basic purpose of the Act, and I'm quoting here, corporations engaged in mining, oil, or gas activities and receiving support from the Government of Canada act in a manner consistent with international best practices and with Canada's commitments to international human rights standards. That is the purpose of the bill, Madam Speaker. Paragraph 5 provides that the Minister shall issue guidelines that articulate corporate accountability standards for mining, oil, and gas activities and make reference to specific internationally recognized standards for the environment and human rights. So you set up the purpose, Madam Speaker, and then you set up the guidelines, and you adopt these guidelines. And once you adopt the guidelines, you set out a scheme whereby the minister or ministers, as the case may be, may receive complaints, conduct examinations, and publish their results, presumably in the Canada Gazette. And that's where the problem arises, Madam Speaker. This does not have the force of law, such as, say, the Criminal Code. It is not regulatory. It is guidelines, for which there is no explicit sanction, such as a fine or imprisonment. The reason, Madam Speaker, is that there are limits to the extraterritoriality of Canadian law. Just as other countries can't and don't apply their law to our country, so too Canada cannot apply its laws and its regulations to other countries. So, Madam Speaker, where's the teeth in this bill? What will happen to a company that offends these guidelines? Well, Madam Speaker, the first sanction is reputational. I would expect that good companies will work at not finding themselves being gazetted. All of us here in this chamber, indeed, work at protecting our own reputation. What's true of individuals is also true of companies. Companies spend a lot of money preserving and enhancing their reputation. Being gazetted under this bill will not enhance a company's reputation. Remember, Madam Speaker, the Nike issue, where Nike was accused of engaging in dubious labor practices, and Nike had to not only reverse their labor practices, but it spent millions and millions of dollars trying to restore its reputation. But, Madam Speaker, there are some companies that simply don't care. There's just way too much money to be made to worry a little bit about a reputational downside. And if that reflects badly on Canada, so be it. There's a certain cynical truth that some companies will conclude that it's a lot cheaper to engage a bunch of lawyers and PR people than to comply with internationally recognized guidelines for corporate behavior in third world countries. So, Madam Speaker, if you're not overly worried about your reputation and you know of the limitations of Canadian law as it applies to activities in other countries, what additional sanctions should we do? The proposal in C-300, Madam Speaker, is that we put a bit of financial bite into these guidelines. If a finding has been made and gazetted, then the company in question will not be eligible for Export Development Bank of Canada Services, EDC. Now, it may be that such a corporation really doesn't care and it doesn't need government help. Well, Madam Speaker, as well, the corporation cannot expect anything from the Government of Canada other than basic consular services. In the language of the bill, no undertaking made through a program developed by the Minister in the exercise of his or her powers shall promote or support mining, oil, or gas activities. In other words, Madam Speaker, basic consular services, nothing else. If the corporation is gazetted, you'll basically be on your own. So maybe, Madam Speaker, the corporation doesn't care about EDC or doesn't care about promotion by the government. Maybe disallowing Canada Pension Plan from investing in the corporation will get your attention. With the passage of this bill, CPP will have to assure itself that it has no assets invested in the offending company. In other words, no CPP money, Madam Speaker. And because CPP is so heavily weighted in the market, other pension plans may well follow suit. Money just got a whole lot more expensive, Madam Speaker, for a corporation that ignores this bill. Corporations which have nothing to fear, much to gain, those are good corporations. Those corporations will be enhanced, their reputations will be enhanced, and they will be entitled to assistance from EDC. They can expect support from the government, and their money gets cheaper. It doesn't get much better than that, Madam Speaker. So let me conclude, Madam Speaker, by urging all honourable members to support C-300. Good ethics make for good business. Good business makes for good ethics. Everyone should win if these guidelines be adopted in this legislation. Canada should win, these corporations should win, and citizens from around the world should win. Win-win seems like something to be supported, Madam Speaker, and I'd urge all members to support this. Thank you.
Questions and comments?